What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? As you guys can see, I'm trying to make more content because that is the plan to get about this joint. Okay, that's the plan to get about this joint. Okay, the reality is you can make content, and if you have a good amount of subscribers, a good amount of followers, a good amount of people watching your videos, liking, and doing all that stuff, the reality is that you can make a decent living. So if you can make, just by making content, you can make $1,000 per month, from which I understand, once you have a certain amount, once you have a certain level to where your content's pushing out there, $1,000 is pretty easy to come by. It's not easy when you're first starting out, but from what I understand, it's pretty easy to come by once you meet certain goals and thresholds. So you want to make at least $1,000 a month just doing content. We're not talking about anything else, such as sponsorships or anything like that, but just $1,000 a month, and that's throughout the platforms. Even if combined, if you're on several different platforms, you made $1,000 a month. That's really all you need. That's where you need to be, right? So once you establish yourself in that matter, obviously in America, that's nothing. That's chump change. Really not going to get you far, unless you got a couple jobs on the side. You're running a business, blah 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 blah, blah, right? So, however, overseas, sorry, I'm looking at, obviously I'm driving, but I'm looking at this storm that looks like it's building up, and I'm on my way to a detail. So, don't mess up my money today, please. But if you lived overseas, $1,000 a month can get you pretty good. You're not going to be rich. You're not going to be like, living this luxurious lifestyle. However, you can be living pretty good. I've just, sent some stuff over to my partner, and was like, hey, look at this 3-bedroom, 2-bath pool house. Couple hundred a month. Water bills this, light bills this. It ain't like America. It's a small fraction of, because your water bill here in America can easily be a couple hundred. But over there, it's like $20. The place I'm talking about. And that's even with the pool and everything. So it's like $20-$30. That's pretty good, right? And then your electric bill is like the same thing. It's like $20, right? So, your Wi-Fi is like 10. And then you eat, if you're eating out every day, it's literally like $150. So I mean, you do the math. Obviously, it's not 1,000, but like depending on if you get depending on what kind of apartment or home or condo that you're renting out, man, $1,000 can stretch you quite a long way. And I'm not talking about like 1,000 per month for just the condo. I'm talking about like you can find like I've seen the other day, a townhouse someone's renting out. It's a little bit what you would consider over here in their ghetto area, but $295 a month. That's for a whole townhouse. We're talking 2 floors. I think it was like a 3-bedroom. Yeah, I think it was a 3-bedroom too. I wasn't sure how many baths, 1 or 2, but still, $295 a month, brothers. What the heck we doing here? What are we doing here in America? What are we doing here? Oh man. Sometimes, I be just looking at stuff like that. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here again? Why I haven't tried to figure out a way to get income overseas? I mean, I figured out a way. The easiest way would be to start a business. And then watch that. And like, not even start a business, because sometimes starting from the ground up, especially being a foreigner, nobody really knows you. it could definitely probably be a rough start. But if you just buy a business and you're just the guy in the background, nobody needs to know who you are. You're just the guy in the background, right? You just own part or all of the business, and it's not a business that you need to be hands-on, day-to-day type stuff. Like, you can just be in the background. And there are businesses out there that you buy them from people. They already have everything set up, management team, all that stuff. They have that set up. They're just trying to get up out that business, But do your diligence. Do your due diligence. Make sure you're searching correctly, right? Because you don't want to inherit. Because the thing is that when you buy businesses, you do sometimes inherit that debt from that business. So you got to be careful in that sense, right? Because sometimes somebody may open a business, didn't do it right, they weren't the right person for it, whatever, they don't have the time, whatever their excuse is, and now their business is not doing so great, and so they may be, in the deep with debt. So you just got to be careful in that sense. Obviously, you come in with a new fresh mind, a new management team, all that, and you're going to do things accordingly to how how to make and start successful businesses. So there's that. So and that's my thing. And apparently car washing over there, I'm trying to open up a car wash, detailing, that type of stuff over there. It's actually pretty lucrative, and really, really nice. Obviously, it's always going to depend on location, amongst other things, but I've definitely found a few that I think I can definitely come in there with a new set of things and really make a good amount of money. Oh yeah. Other than that, that's not what I came to make this video of, though. I came to make a video just kind of stating where we are right now as a country. Because you can see it. You can see, for those who are aware, who have a conscience, you can see kind of what's going on. You understand what is happening around you. And I know, and for example, out in LA, you got the riots, right? However, you do have people who are coming out and they're saying, what riots? Where they at? That's only one small strip in LA, which it kind of makes sense, right? Because the media is always going to paint everything a certain way when they want to have things pictured a certain way. The only reason why I say this is because growing up in America, obviously, as an African American male, you see firsthand, especially through the 90s, you see firsthand of how the media could paint a picture which can then transform the perspective of one race for many generations. For those who know, you know what I'm talking about, right? So, and it's the same thing going on right now out in LA, where there are, like I said, there's people coming out saying that's not all of LA. That's a couple blocks. It's one strip. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's bad that's happening, but at the same time, all of LA is not rioting. They're not in uproar. It's one small part in a very big city. You know what I'm saying? So, makes sense from that perspective. You can kind of look at it, but at the same time, we do have to start calling out the BS when we see the BS, and we need to put our government and the people who control the media and how we're viewing things. We need to check them, right? We need to check them. So, we talk a lot about checking facts and all that. Don't just spit out your booty. Same thing goes for those people who are supposedly professionals. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about was, you guys got to look at the movie Purge. You guys remember the sequel, all those movies that came out, the Purge? See how those stopped coming out? It was all just kind of like hyping us up, getting us ready, you know? But the one in particular I'm talking about is the Purge, the first one. And that's the most recent one. I think it came out like 2018, 2019, something like that. And it was basically just like kind of setting up all the purges that we already watched. So it was just like telling you how it all began. And if you ever go back and watch that particular one, and you kind of see it with a different lens, you'll understand what I'm about to say. And what I'm about to say is, those things can easily happen. Easily. You understand me? Easily happen. Because the way that our media can just make things look a certain way, we're not far off. We haven't been far off for quite some time, but we're not far off from purging. Because in that movie, basically how it was put together was essentially, damn, I just watched the movie. How it was put together essentially was, everybody's angry, right? Kind of like now, right? Everybody's angry. Everybody's mad. We all want something done. We were promised many things. And I think a lot of people nowadays, a lot of people are sick of the promises. And obviously there's still people who think that they're going to get what they were promised. But you see a lot more angrier people nowadays, especially on social media. So everyone seems to be pretty angry. Rightfully, they have the right to be angry. However, in that movie, what they did was they took that anger and they said, you want to take it out somewhere? We have an idea. Here's the idea. We'll give you a day where we're only going to start here, and this is going to be we're going to start it as a training, so to speak, right? Sort of like a first step, right? Like, let's see how this goes, and who knows? Maybe this could become an annual thing, where basically they make the citizens kill each other, and then they just that government in that movie was just pouring the fuel, essentially, to helping the citizens kill each other. But some of the citizens saw through the BS and said, no, that's not right. And because they weren't killing enough people, the government stepped in secretly and made it seem like, oh, look, they all killed each other. See how everybody is? See, and if you guys continue to, do this, well, actually, here's the incentive. We're actually going to pay some of you to do it. See how easy that is? Because with everything going on right now, and inflation and all this other stuff, it's very easy to come out. You see how people were so quick on the whole, what was it, Doge stimulus book BS? Well, I knew that was BS, and I knew it wasn't good for the country, but they could easily come out and say, hey, we're going to pay a handful of you $5,000, $10,000 if you go out and participate in this new purge thing that we're going to do. How many people you think going to sign up with no hesitation? How many people you think going to sign up with no hesitation? $5,000, $10,000? People think, ooh, that's going to change my life. Yeah, it's going to change your life. You're going to be in a body bag. Because of greed. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that because I felt like that movie, and it's the reason why they haven't been releasing those kind of movies since COVID. If you understand how a lot of movies are, a lot of movies sometimes they'll tell you the future. Sometimes, not all. Sometimes, like Idiocracy. Go watch Idiocracy. That movie came out in 2005. That movie literally told the future. Literally. I don't even think they meant to do that. Somehow they let it slip through the cracks. That's why it's not advertised and promoted. And that's, no one talks about it. That movie told the future. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. And at some point, like I said, same thing with the purges. Sometimes, I'm not saying it will, but sometimes those movies, they tell the future. And I can see how it can easily be misled, misdirected, whatever, to make everybody say, yeah, let's go out and kill some people. That's how I'm going to take my anger out. You know? That's how I'm going to take my anger. Yeah, I'm going to keep blaming the government, but let's go out and kill some people. That, you know, that's how that could be easily manipulated. And especially if you throw money in a lot of these places. Oh, yeah, we'll give you 10 grand if you participate. Watch how many people participate. And they'll probably start it in a place like LA or New York. Why? Because those are the most dense and populated places. Just saying. Anyway, be safe out there, everybody. Be careful. Count your blessings. We are living in some crazy times.